There is always an LED, there is a driver, and there is somewhere a dimmer or a controller or a control panel that actually talks to the driver. And the language that he uses in order to talk to that driver, that is what I define as a controls protocol as such.
In this Tech Talk, we will talk about lighting controls, and especially how do I know which lighting control system I need to specify. Hey, thank you for being here. So there are many different lighting control systems and many different protocols. So can you explain to me what we're talking about?
Yes, we can, if you can go to the next slide. So if we talk about a control protocol, well, it's basically the situation, it's the language in which the driver is being talked to. If you look to the basic elements of a lighting solution, there is always an LED, there is a driver, and there is somewhere a dimmer or a controller or a control panel that actually talks to the driver. And the language that he uses in order to talk to that driver, that is what I define as a controls protocol as such.
Okay, so there are different layers in there, right? So as in this image here, it's a wall panel or a wall slider where I can control my light, which is basically the user interface.
Definitely.
But on top of that, you have that lighting control system talking these protocols.
Yes.
So what kind of protocols is eldoLED supporting?
In essence, we are supporting three different formats, where for general lighting there are two. It's DALI on the one hand, and 1 to 10, 0 to 10 on the other end. That's for general white lighting, if you wish. And we support the DMX language, which is a standard control language for colored lighting in more the architectural arena. So those are the three protocols that eldoLED supports, by default inside our drivers.
So what are the big differences between that DALI and 0 to 10 control system?
Well, in essence, DALI is a digital system and it is addressable. It means a digital addressable lighting interface. So it's digital, it means there's bidirectional communication between the controller or the dimmer and the driver as such. They talk to one another and the driver talks back as well. And I would say the most important one is the addressability. You can give a certain driver an address, and if you have 1200 luminaires, and it's properly addressed, you can call upon each luminaire to do something with it. So if you want luminaire number 783 to be dimmed down, you can actually call upon that certain number and well, control it, dim it or steer it in the way that you make it very specific. Whereas in the 0 to 10 protocol, that is not a digital protocol but an analog protocol. There's no bidirectional communication and you can't address. It's like broadcasting, if you wish. It's like shouting with a megaphone over that network. So if you give a certain command into a 0 to 10 network, all the drivers wired into that network are treated identical. If you call upon 20% dimming, then every driver in that network dims to that specific level. You can't individually address. It's like broadcasting.
So there are many manufacturers using DALI as their lighting protocol.
Definitely, yes.
So what do I specify? Do I specify like I want DALI in my project, or do I need to specify a certain control manufacturer?
No, control manufacturer is not needed to specify that. DALI is a standard. DALI is being managed not by a certain company, it's managed by the DALI Alliance, if you wish. It's a conglomerate of lighting manufacturers, and they are in charge of that standard. So the basic idea of DALI is interoperability between several brands. And so it's not needed that you specify one certain brand, you specify the control language as such, and that should take care of the interoperability between the controllers and the drivers that you use in your project.
So if I specify DALI and using the DALI 2 certified mark or based on the DIA, I know these components will work together.
Absolutely, yeah. That's the basic. They're interoperable, but that's the basic idea of what DALI is all about. Yes.
Which is not the case by 0 to 10. So testing is crucial by 0 to 10.
Absolutely, absolutely. 0 to 10 is less of a standard, but it does its job pretty well indeed. But the essence and the effect of proper lighting can also be achieved in an analog system like 0 to 10 or 1 to 10 volts.
And next to DALI and 0 to 10, we have DMX.
Yes.
So DMX is also a protocol. How do I talk with each other?
Yes. A DMX is a protocol for colored lighting. It's a protocol that is very speedy, very quick, and it's managed to steer RGB or RGBW luminaires. And if you really want true, quick, color-changing aspects in the architectural arena, this is when you have to specify DMX. DMX has its origin in the entertainment industry. Pop concert, for example, all that light many times is being steered with DMX. You have two flavors in DMX. The default DMX, you have the addressing of the driver, but in standard DMX you need this addressing to be done manually. You have to go to every driver and actually give every driver a certain address. And most of the drivers have 4 outputs because you need to steer red, green, blue and white. But then you have to manually, make a connection to the driver and actually program it. That's a lot of work. If you have 1200 luminaires, there's a lot of manual programming you have to do in default DMX. Luckily, there is an add-on to DMX, which is called RDM. And this is where that programming can actually be done automatically during commissioning and during the wiring and installation of the driver itself. It can be done remotely, but then you have to specify an RDM controller. eldoLED drivers are fully RDM, they fully support the RDM protocol as well.
Okay.
In that area.
So same as with DALI, so DMX is the protocol. There are many different lighting control manufacturers supporting DMX.
Yes, it's like DALI. It's also a standard. It was developed by USITT, and now it's being managed by ESTA, which is the Entertainment Services and Technology Association from the USA. They are basically in charge of the DMX standard, and it's also being supported by many different suppliers.
So there are many other lighting control protocols or systems, if you wish, as well.
Yes.
What can we say about those right now?
There's a Kazambi, for example, that is a wireless protocol. That's not, you can discuss if it's an open standard, but it's not being managed by an independent organization. That is being managed by the Kazambi organization.
It's more proprietary.
It's more proprietary. That doesn't mean it's wrong. It can do the job perfectly. And for example, in the USA, we are part of Acuity Brands Lighting. Within Acuity Brands, there's an N-Light control protocol as such. And that's a perfectly okay protocol that works on top of a 0 to 10 or on top of a LED code driver. And that is basically a digital layer on top of that analog system. And that also has a possibility to create a system where sensors and wall switches and controls are being integrated into one, and also that works perfectly well. And that's a perfect integration with eldoLED drivers too in that sense.
So we go in more depth on that integration in other sessions.
Yes.
Right?
Today I would like to focus in this on DALI 0 to 10 and DMX, and later we will go on into the other ones.
Okay. Thank you very much, G. Thank you for watching.